Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll give you a quick time.
Thank you for the opportunity to present. I'm here to talk about the high school proposal. The schools face a lot of challenges these days on many different fronts. We certainly can't help with all of them, but there is one area, and that is in facilities management, and specifically building efficiency. Because every building, whether it's a school building or a regular commercial building, they all have their quirks, right? They all have their secrets. There's always the room that's too hot, the one that's too cold, the one that smells funny. And you have rooms where lights are left on and nobody's there. You have areas that are cool and nobody's using it. All of these little secrets cost you money. And they're relatively easy to fix if you know about them. And the only way to know about them is to have actual data, right? Ground truth data for your entire building. But that's where it gets complicated, because if you need to put sensors throughout a building like this, you're looking at a cost of $1 to $3 a square foot. And So we designed this product specifically for retrofits in existing buildings. And literally all you have to do is charge the building battery and stick it to the wall. And then it will measure temperature, humidity, indoor air quality, pressure, light levels, and civil occupancy. There's a motion sensor on there. So we can tell you at a glance which parts of the building are being used and what exactly is going on. And I've got a short video to show you. This is data that's taken from a pilot we're currently running up in Rhode Island in a local middle school. I'll talk you through it. So what you're going to see is data that's gathered from our sensors and presented using our analysis tool, using stuff into a video. And each one of those black dots is a sensor. And so this is a floor plan, and you can see the school day's just started, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and pretty quickly the classrooms on the left are turning red, which means the indoor air quality is not good. And you'll see it progresses throughout the day, and then once we get to about 2:30, when the kids start to go home, you'll see that it gradually starts to return to normal. So that's one 24-hour cycle during the school week. And now we're going to fast forward to the second year. It's 9 o'clock at night. So now we'll go to the second day. And you'll see a slightly different pattern, but the essence of it is the same. And the reason for the different pattern is just the usage of the classrooms and how many students from different places. So you can see this time slightly different areas are lighting up red fast. But again, by the end of the day, there's a lot of areas that would be served from it. And the reason that you should care about indoor air quality, obviously we're just coming out of COVID and everyone's a lot more familiar with the air quality challenges than they used to be. But first of all, it's a good indicator of what ventilation looks like in the building. And if the ventilation isn't great, then you do increase the risk of spreading disease, whether it's COVID, whether it's Noro, whether it's regular flu, which means more students out, more often more staff out, and more system. So our goal is to give you a really easy way to look at the facility as an entire entity and target the problems, right? Spot where they are. For example, in this building, it's an older building. It was built in the late 1800s. The heating system is steam radiators, and they've got various rooms that are being heated to 84 degrees. And now that we can show that to maintenance guys, they can go in and change that. And of course, a hot classroom or air quality is exactly what sends students to sleep and affects them. So our goal here is to deliver a super affordable solution so that anybody managing the facility can just reduce their expenses. And also you get to streamline your maintenance and your servicing because we can show you, hey, this side of the building's hardly been used in the last weeks of the building. So there's many different ways that you can save money. And in fact, in the school in Rhode Island, we found we had one day of good weather the other week, and so most of the teachers opened the windows. This is no video.
That's a new video.
Yeah, that's not. But they opened windows in the classrooms, and we could immediately see the improvement in the indoor air quality. So one of the key points here is, I'm sure you've all heard pitches for energy efficiency and indoor air quality and so on, and they usually come with really big price tags. And what we're trying to do is give you the data so you know exactly where to put money to work. And quite often the solution is as simple as put a fan or a filter in a room, rather than spend $100,000 on a new sterilization system or something like that. And we've been trying to be very sensitive to the fact that not everybody has a huge capital budget. So we offer this in two different ways: buy it outright and then pay for maintenance and so forth. But we also offer a leasing program where for $10 per sensor per month, you start to install it. So we just want to make it easier for people to manage their buildings more efficiently. Thank you for your time. Any questions?
One question.
Yeah.
What is the number one indicator that for air quality?
Yeah. So our air quality is based on total VOCs, volatile organic chemicals. Those are the kind of things that obviously with the shower will use. That's something we detect. But also just as we all breathe, right? We actually emit Yeah, I mean, there's many different ways to measure, right? But that's the measure we chose these days. Okay, we'll follow up with it. Thank you. Thank you.
Next is a refinancing update from John Sheen.
Nice, I have a couple of faces, but I'm John Sheen from Steve Financial, formerly banking in Scattergood. In addition, for over 15 years, I've been involved in the subject of project refinancing since 2005. What we're going to talk about today is just overall market conditions and an opportunity that could exist in the future but doesn't exist today. I thought it's something funny to say that graph, that video they had of those people that were wanting to go on market and what's happening interest rates. Interest rates from a financial perspective have gone up dramatically in the past year, and everyone's feeling the pain. So it's almost weird thinking kind of about the level of interest rates today. Because when we go and dig into the details, I think what we're going to see is that we're looking to the future and saying what's more is going to happen not tomorrow, but maybe 6 months to a year from now. That's why we're here today. Be ready, prepared to start thinking about other opportunities in the future. So the first page of the presentation in front of you is just the interest rate we're at in certain dynamics that are happening in the marketplace. At the very top, it's going to talk about the difference between taxes and taxable markets. What we see is that they don't trade exactly the same. Taxable treasury rates, the government rates are actually going higher than municipal rates. So municipal rates have the same amount of gain as treasury rates. At the very bottom is the interest rate graph for the last 30 years. Because that graph is that historically, we've had the best bull market in the last 50 years up until last year. So every year that I've been in this business, fortunately, rates have always gone lower. From a district perspective, district that entered the tax price 2010, even the beneficiary of that, the majority of your debt is at some of the lowest interest rates in the market. In fact, you haven't seen me here in a while because there's never been an opportunity because of your debt portfolios at such low interest rates. That being said, we always are monitoring to stay as we're going to talk about tonight. So the second page is a summary of each issue. You have 6 outstanding debt issues. We label them by the duration, so you can see as we that. So we start with 2021B all the way down to 2014. We go from far enough, that's what it is as of today. They're all fixed rates, so there's no variable rate exposure, which is great in the rising interest rate environment. You always do your loan issues when you lock in that rate. It stays locked in unless you want to refinance. And the final maturity for each one of those, most importantly, we always monitor, what you should monitor for is the call rate, because unlike your mortgage and your car loans, bonds can be refunded after a certain time period. That's that call rate. So a bond holder wants protection when they refund bonds, and they know they're going to get an interest rate for 5, 7, 10 years. What we've highlighted in just yellow is the issue that becomes callable in that. Right, we have issues called, hey, let's refinance it away. Rates are high. That's right, it doesn't work. However, if you go back to that chart at page 4, you look at what has happened. Rates actually have come down from October. So we sort of hit our high October 2000. We hit our high in October of last year. Now, in fact, we were tracking to, we just wanted to, let's just talk about the 10-year treasury. That's the governmental, our federal government uses to issue 10-year notes. That rate was as low as 3.3% about a month ago. Rates were trending lower. We were seeing, even though the Fed was still increasing short-term rates, long-term rates were coming down. So we started scratching our head for transactions such as this, and we can call them, what would we need in order to fund that debt? And that's what we're talking about later. That 2017 transaction, if it were done, you would have funded, you could achieve that after all conversations, at least 2% savings. 2% savings in that transaction are roughly $100,000. So we tracked that a month ago. We were going to fund that. We weren't there. We were very You're about 20 basis points or 1/5% away from being in a position to fund that as of May. So rates could be the trend. Now we're thinking, scratch our head, talking to the administration, we don't want to get this ready. What has happened since then is great enough numbers up until 2 weeks ago. And all of a sudden, we hit a wall from an economic standpoint. Because that's what everyone's judging where rates are going to head next. CPI and PPI came out very high, even though they were tracking very low up to that point. It's jumped up dramatically in the 3-week period of just 80 basis points. So all this work we've done, not just for district, but for a lot of other districts, where we thought we were around when we're funding debt, all of a sudden, today's rates, as of today, are actually higher than this 2017 issues. The building transaction talked about. However, that's the bad news. The good news is that we monitor the markets, we see going on, and heard a Joe Craig meeting that short-term rates continue to go higher, but long-term rates in real estate stagnant. That tells us, A, the market, the bond buyers, are telling you that they feel comfortable with long-term rates being as they stagnant come down. It's only the short term that funds rates is going to keep rising. We have an inverted curve, which sort of tells us that in the next 6, 8, and 12 months, we're going to have an economy that's going to slow down, and all of a sudden, rates are coming back down. But that sounds great, but what that also has hit is that most likely a recession. From a bond perspective, from the issue, it needs to issue debt. Recession needs lower rates. So even though from a pocketbook standpoint, low rates are great. From a working standpoint, recession. So we're here, we're going to get this ready, and if there's a chance we're funded, we'll be back in front of you with a resolution that says, okay, we're kind of getting close, and if we can save 200, 180,000, whatever that 2% mark is, then we get everything that we're confident. We don't know if it's going to happen. Hopefully it does happen. And when it does happen, we'll be back in front of you. I wish I had better news tonight. It was tracking very well. I think what we'll see is CPI, PPI number comes out. I think it's late this week or next week. This next month numbers come out. This might not be a good month, but when we do that first good month, we're going to see dramatic increase in start coming in. So the rest of this presentation is just FYI, as we have for you. It goes to just looking at really the pages. Page 4 is the analysis of what we need to do for work. But you just want to focus on this page is you're stating that at 2017, the average rate is 2.95%. If we can just lower that to 2.6%, that saves you 2%. If we lower the 2%, be great. We don't think that's important. We do think possibly getting the 2.6 would be close. So that's what we would set as a threshold in that resolution that we're being adopted. The next page after that is how that 2017 currently looks. You can see that rates range from 2 to 3.1%, but the average is at 2.95. You can replace that with page 6. Page 6. With rates about 2.6%. And what comes out in the wash is on page 7, where you compare the old to the new, with a lower interest rate obviously saves you money. When you save money over time, it comes out to lower budgets for debt service. Unfortunately, this isn't millions of dollars worth of savings, just too small of an issue, too small of savings. But when every dollar does matter, you're going to save roughly $20,000 a year over that time period of 2035. None of that's ever extended, nothing's ever changed except the interest rate and the debt savings on the basis. So there's a lot of what ifs in there, a lot of crossover figures and what this works. But hopefully you'll see me again in the next 3, 4, 5, 6 months from now. Okay, you're right, you're ready to go. Let's get this resolution passed. So I wish I had the resolution for me now. I wanted to make sure you were ready to go so that they're fast.
Basically, closing it, you're looking for general support and to put one out. They would not extend length of term. This is somewhere between 17 and 20,000
At least, yes. No. So that if and when that does happen, if you are finished crossed, it does eventually happen. We will be informed as a board that it has to happen before that meeting. Pass a resolution to start everything rolling. So there's an add, the appropriate option that says there'll be a debt issuance in some dollar amount. Won't be the exact amount that we're going to issue, it'll be an amount higher than that. You can trade blocks for those numbers. So finding if the time does come, that'll be the first step. So if you see something, you'll know before you will be a surprise. That'll be something that will be in the paper before the meeting. We'll be and you will. Any other questions? We're going to get our recommendation. People fall asleep.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Before the meeting,
Okay.
have a good day. At this time, Mr. President may come forward to comment on agenda items only. Each person must state their first and last name and address prior to speaking. Each resident will be allowed 3 minutes and can speak only once. This period for public comment prior to standing committee reports will be limited to 1.5 hours. Although not required, board members desiring to address questions or concerns may use them after residents' comments and questions. Residents please the committee report. There will still be an opportunity for residents to comment on any business relevant to the Amesbury School District under old new business at the end of the meeting. If anybody wishes to speak on any agenda items, real fast, 1 second. Is our camera on the mount?
Yes, there's a camera.
All right, just a second.
Jamie Curry, 102 Willow Drive, Freedom. This evening, I am here hoping to get answers on the lack of transparency in the district and to find out what actions have been put in place by the district to ensure that students, faculty, and staff are safe when they enter one of our district buildings. On 2/28, there was an incident defined by the district's policy manual as an incident involving an act of violence at the middle school during 5th period. A student assaulted a teacher in the classroom during the school day. The teacher was taken to the hospital and treated for concussion and contusions. Never once did the district inform the parents of this incident by email, text, bridge glass, etc., letting us know that the building was safe, that the police were notified, or that there wasn't a threat to our students who were in that building. However, 2 days later on March 2nd, an email was sent to district parents informing us that a gun was found after school hours in a locked car on school property. How does this particular incident warrant an email, but not the incident that occurred 2 days before at the middle school when it was during school hours? This is why I feel that there is a lack of transparency. Who is picking and choosing what incidents are significant enough for parents to be made aware via bridge or blast? I was told by a school board member that a blast wouldn't have given any helpful information because blasts are for safety concerns or for when students could potentially be in danger or perceived danger. So I guess the safety of our children at the middle school isn't important. What steps were taken by the district to ensure that the middle school was safe the day after the incident? Was there extra police presence? Were there additional administrators such as superintendent or assistant superintendent at the building? Were counselors made available to students and staff that witnessed such violence the day before? What kind of training does the district have in place for staff members who may find themselves in the future in this situation? What is the district actively doing to ensure a similar incident like this does not happen again? Last week, I reached out to several board members in confidence, expressing how upset I was by this incident. These board members also expressed their concern and shock. Today, I texted several board members my concerns in writing, only to have a board member respond back to the text thread saying how shocked they were that I went to this extreme. Extreme because I'm concerned about the safety of my child? Yes, this board member did reply back to a text thread that I was included in. They also said how they were hoping that the meeting this evening wouldn't be lengthy. I'm sorry that my concern for not only my child, but for the safety of all faculty and staff is a burden on you and has extended the length of tonight's meeting. Perhaps you should consider how many times the public shows up at 7 p.m. for a board meeting and has to wait 15 or 20 minutes for the board to show up. Our time is valuable too. Lastly, my child came home today telling me that a student in her band class was going to bring an AK-47 to school tomorrow. My child followed the proper steps and reported it immediately to administration and the school resource officer, where she filled out an incident report. However, she was told by the school resource officer that he assures her that this kid doesn't have access to this type of weapon. But why are threats from students shrugged off by adults who our students are supposed to trust? How does the officer know that the student doesn't have this weapon or any other kind of weapon before the proper disciplinary actions are taken? Thank you.
The one thing that I will say is, you can see that there are two different opportunities during this meeting for public comment. This first opportunity is to discuss items that are on the agenda. I specifically did not step in or make any adjustment or redirection to this last speaker, in large part because you began with a more general discipline question. There are two items on the agenda this evening that relate to student discipline, and so as a result, you can make some assumptions from that some of your concerns very well may relate to one of those items. The rest of those comments and your concerns are more general in nature, and I'm assuming that there may be more people towards the end of the meeting who bring those up as well, and we'll save some of that time towards the end. To both receive them for as long as those comments are. There are 3 minutes. As long as there are people who wish to speak, this board will sit and listen consistent with our board policy. So thank you for your comments. Anybody else who wishes to speak this evening on any agenda item? This is the legislative action for this meeting, education and technology.
Under education and technology, I will read them and discuss them. We will be voting on these 3 items this evening. On settlement offer for government entity claims against the Juul Labs Incorporated, it is recommended to approve the settlement in the class action lawsuit against Juul Labs Incorporated as presented and to authorize execution of all necessary documents relating to the same. Any discussion on that? Number 2 is the student discipline, 2022-23, number 15. It is recommended to ratify the discipline agreement for student number listed relevant to a middle school student effective March 3rd, 2023. Number 3 is also a student discipline, number 2022-23-16. It is recommended to adopt the recommendation discipline for student number listed pursuant to a private disciplinary hearing, which was held on March 8, 2023. If there's no more discussion, I will make a motion to approve items 1 through 3.
Any more discussion?
How much was number 1?
It is approximately $12,000.
You're in one email saw 8 or 9, so it's somewhere between 8.
So the net and then there's a distribution for some of the related costs, but your realized amount should be between $8,000 and $9,000.
For you, would that go to the general fund or we putting that towards something, program stuff, something?
I would just say that I went and the general person.
Could you speak up? Could you all speak up so everybody can hear?
Unfortunately, I think you're trying a couple times. I don't know if you're hearing.
Well,
that.
nobody can hear.
I know. Can you hear the feedback though?
Not right this second, no, but y'all need to speak up so everybody can hear you.
That'd be great.
Sure.
This is a public meeting. We need to hear.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Sorry, you didn't hear. Did you want me to repeat that?
No, but from this point forward, we need to be able to hear what you're saying.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Any other board discussion? Can I have a roll call, please? Mr. Carpenter?
Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Fisher? Yes. Ms. Cynthia? Yes. Mr. Peter?
Yes.
Mrs. Keita? Yes. Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Patchy?
Yes.
Mrs. Maravka? Yes. Motion carries.
Thank you. Under personnel and salary schedule and labor relations, Mr. Davis and Mrs. Smith.
I'll take it, Madam President, thank you. Item number one, first and foremost, all Irish City received satisfactory and career clearances, satisfactory drug screening, TB testing, drug responses by current and former employers, the Act 168 screening, and PDE certifications. If applicable, item one, the resignation, it's recommended to approve the resignation of Ben Byron from his position of boys varsity soccer coach, and that's effective February 20th, 2023, definitely with the grant. All good.
Wait a second.
Second.
Any board discussion? And roll call please.
Mr. Carpenter?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Fisher?
Yes.
Ms. Cynthia?
Yes.
Mr. Peter?
Yes.
Mrs. Keita?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Patchy?
Yes.
Mrs. Maravka?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Under today's report, these are non-voting agenda items for this evening, education and technology.
For number one category to E-rate funding, it's recommended to approve the purchase of wireless access points for State Street Elementary and the Cambridge area middle school. Total cost is $50,866. Pending Universal Service Administration Company. Schools and library division's approval, the E-rate program will pay approximately 80%, which comes to $40,692 of the total cost. The Cambridge area school district will pay approximately 20%, which is around $10,173. Number two, it's recommended Leanne Holmes attend the orientation part 2 school food service operations in Harrisburg. That's from May 3 and 4, 23. All expenses, registration fees, travel, lodging, and meals will be paid for the board policy. Job-related expenses, total cost will be approximately $659. Three is recommended that Larry Knopfschneider, American Cultures teacher at high school, be authorized to take 10th grade students in the Adventures and Education Club of St. Augustine, Florida, from November 6th through 9, 2023. There will be no cost to the district, with the exception of the cost for substitute teaching. Parents or guardians will be required to sign permission slips for release forms. Chaperones will be required to have current clearances and TV testing. Finally, it's recommended to approve an agreement between the Geneva College Department of Communication Disorders and the Cambridge Area School District for the purpose of the Geneva College students' field and clinical experiences for the fall of 2023. Any discussion from 1 through 4?
Thank you. Under finance and budget, buildings and grounds, Mr. Carpenter and Mr. Schaefer.
I'll take that.
Thank you.
Like to present the following for discussion. Number one, school district monthly bills and salaries. Certainly, the monthly school district bills in the amounts listed, and the monthly school district personnel salaries in the amounts listed and paid. Number two, cafeteria monthly bills and salaries. It's recommended that the monthly cafeteria bills in the amounts listed, and the monthly cafeteria personnel salaries in the amounts listed and paid. Budget transfers, it's recommended to approve budget transfers for March 2023. Number four, proposed 23-24 Beaver Valley intermediate unit budget. Recommended that the 23-24 intermediate unit general operating budget in the amounts listed be approved. Further recommended the board president and secretary be authorized to execute the listed resolution from Jim's form concerning the BVI fund. 5 gifts in kind, recommended to accept a donation of $1,000 from the Member Partnership in honor of Zapola Lewis's selection as a member of the inaugural Steelers All-Year team. The owner has received no goods or services in return for this gift. Finally, number 6 gifts in kind, is recommended to accept the donation of, I assume that's Gag and Pit for Economy Elementary Playground from the Economy Elementary PA. Donor is received no goods or services in return for this gift. I just like that. Thank you for both of those last two. Any discussion?
Any other discussion on the item? There is nothing under athletics and public relations this evening, under steering and rules and legislative, Mrs. Eno.
I'll take that, Madam President, thank you. Number 1, policy 204, attendance third reading. It is recommended as a third reading to update school board policy 204, attendance, to require the attendance of all students during the days and hours that the school is in session, except that temporary student absences may be excused by authorized district staff in accordance with applicable laws and regulations, board policy, and administrative regulations. Any questions?
Thank you. I do not have anything under my section this evening, Dr. Hospital.
Just wanted to congratulate our students in the musical. We didn't have the opportunity to see it. It was outstanding. We did, I'm sure you agree. Very proud of all of them. Looking forward to an exciting spring season for all of our athletics and music that's coming down the stretch. Thank you.
Thank you. Our alternate items this evening. Thank you. It is now time for new business. Any district resident who desires to comment on any business relevant to the Amesbury School District should now come forward. Each person must state their first and last name and address prior to speaking. Each person will be allowed 3 minutes and can speak only once. This period for public comment will be limited to 1/2 hour.
My name is Eric Couch. I live at 108 Willow Drive. And my concern is the fact is that my boys both go to elementary and middle school. And to find out from my own kids, before I found out through the school, there was a teacher assaulted. It's unacceptable. I'm sorry, there's a time I went to school that I was taught that if you have any fear at all, go to school. Because the teachers are there to help them. Now kids are being afraid to go to school. Technology is reporting every day that our kids are reporting these fights at school over something stupid. We need to, as adults, stand up and put the kids and say, hey, look, we're in charge. You're here to learn. Bottom line, there's too much violence going on in the schools today, but it's not needed. We need to do more as a school board, as the school itself, to step up, and we owe that to our kids every single day. That's it.
Sean Duguay, 511 Wilson Avenue. The news that I'm hearing about the teacher being assaulted in middle school, this is the first I'm hearing it. And I've been at the middle school the last 3 mornings. And I have a 6th and a 7th grade. But I'm here in regards to my senior, who has a senior project coming up. And he came to me about a week and a half ago in distress because his liaison, Miss Simunak, was suspended in November for coming to school drunk. This is the first, a week and a half ago is the first we heard of that. My son's senior project, he graduates in less than 2.5 months. So is that going to be held against him? Is he not going to be able to graduate because the school
didn't give him somebody to help him with his senior project. And as far as the Juul settlement, I wasn't aware of that. But it seems like vaping and cannabis in the schools, in the bathrooms, is a major problem. And I came to the school about 3 weeks ago, and I had a meeting with Ms. Zubczyk and Officer Fan. And I've offered, through the Donnie Donut Project, to do a fundraiser to help raise funds to get the nicotine and whatever other detectors are needed in the school, middle school, high school. If you need them in the elementary, we're more than willing to help and do better together. Ms. Zubczyk said she was going to pass that along, but I've yet to hear anything, so I wanted to come in. And I think that Juul settlement of whatever it may be, whether it's $8,000, $9,000, $12,000, I think that would be the perfect place for that to go, rather into a general fund. You should put that where the kids need it, and that's going to keep. Look at my kids are not innocent of this. I've caught my kids taking vapes to and from school. They got right through the front doors and they brought them home. I had video of them coming in, so the staff isn't doing their job. Now the kids are being held to this high standard and they're being cited. They're being hit with double jeopardy. They're not only being criminally cited, but they're also being suspended from school. That's double jeopardy. If you go to court, you're not getting a double sentence. You're going to get one sentence or the other. Is there something that we can do? Yesterday, there was a fight in the high school, in the senior lounge. I actually had the video of that. A sophomore walked into the senior lounge with no staff in there, approached the senior and punched him in his face. I had the video if you would like to see it. The school's doing their own investigation. The police department's doing their own investigation. Well, guess what? It seems like the staff isn't being held accountable like the students. So as a parent, a concerned parent of many children in this district, I have one in elementary, I have two in the middle school, and I have two in the high school. I'm opening my own criminal investigation, and there will be criminal charges filed if need be. I mean, okay.
Exact specifics of it.
Well, with the parents of those students, can there be some sort of an email or something, or some sort of notice sent out to the parents? Because my senior year of high school, I was unable to complete my senior project due to a car accident, and I was unable to walk with my class. And at that time in my life, I had a child on the way, so I quit school and ended up getting a GED. I don't want to see my son be defeated the way I was and not be able to walk with his class because of the lack of accountability by the school.
That all happened in November, why is it March?
This is the first I'm hearing anything too.
This is the first I'm hearing that nothing's in place.
Wow.
I'm not aware that he's saying that. Let me just say it like this. I would need to talk to her to hear that nothing was in place for student projects. My understanding. So nobody else has said that they're not aware of how they're completing the student project. So I'll go back and get them.
There's four other students that were.
When you're aware of a vacancy in the building, the principal is, she's going to address that vacancy as she can. So I'm assuming. So I'll look into it, make sure it works.
Great. And then for some reason,
Yes.
thank you. So, can you address that? Because I think I have a feeling there's a lot of people here that are probably asking if we have already
So I was just asked to give some feedback to the best of my ability about what constraints, if any, there exist on the district when they're communicating with the public about a range of these issues. When they're personnel related, as you can imagine, the district cannot share names, and we have certain privacy requirements that we do take very seriously and respond appropriately to. And that is the same with students as well. Now, that is not to say that there aren't, when things are a matter of public safety, when there are matters that the administration judges are of an eminent value to a large population of parents and other stakeholders, we do our best to communicate those out. Obviously, I'm hearing feedback that at least for those who are addressing that tonight, we feel like the district fell short. I'm sure the district and the administration and the board are listening to that and taking that seriously. But in each situation, we try to judge all of those different privacy concerns, give them the appropriate weight, and do our best to respond in a way to provide information to the community that we can.
Anybody else? Thank you. Anybody else who wishes to speak this evening?
Jennifer Makita, 1897 Cornwood Road, Economy. My concern, like every other parent here, is the middle school. And as Megan just said, we as taxpayers, what information as taxpayers are we allowed to know? I think we should allowed to know everything. I should not have to worry about dropping my son off at school in the morning, worrying for his safety. When he walks out of my truck and into that building, he is the district's responsibility. It's getting out of hand, and something needs to be done. There needs to be rules across the board for every student. I don't care if you're high honors, I don't care if you're special ed. Rules are rules, and they need to be followed. You know, it's just, I have 2 more years of this junior high. 2 more years. I'm not going to go through it again. People are not leaving this district because of sports. People are leaving this district because of what is happening in the district with these students addressing, going after teachers, fighting other students. They're not leaving because of sports. They're leaving because of safety concerns. We got another housing plan coming to Economy. Over, I don't know how many homes. People are going to come into this district and look at it and say, Cambridge is a joke. This is my alma mater. I would defend this district to the end. It's hard right now. It really, really is hard. I just want you as a district and a board to do what is right for our students. And I'm talking every student. Thank you.
Everybody is aware, we did take a very long time this summer to policy. There were a lot of changes. There's a lot of things, so we don't want you to think this is like it's not falling on deaf ears. We hear you and we appreciate you coming to the meeting. A lot of times there's not a lot of clear. Thank you for coming out and sharing your concerns. Appreciate that. We'll take note of them. Talk more about it. We will work together to
We don't have any issues here. Many of us have kids in this district as well. And believe me, it's just as in us. She's right, we did spend a lot of time trying to build infrastructure to protect our students as best as we can last year. We probably spent money that maybe we don't have to do so. And I think we put SROs in place. He did a good job patching that up, so we have some presence in the schools, but things do happen, right? And my kid's in the middle of it too. But, you know, when I hear a lot of what you said tonight, falls around communication as well. And being informed, and I think everybody here knows that we can't share information that's private in nature, and we're certainly restricted in a lot of ways. But I took notes, and I would bet that many of these folks took notes too, about, hey, I think it was Jamie. Is Jamie still here? Yeah. Jamie, you made a good point. I don't know what the answer is, the difference between what happened a couple nights ago and what happened last week. So those are things that we need to figure out. But I don't think you're speaking on deaf ears. It's like I said, many of us are from here, born and bred, right? And many of us maybe weren't from here. We have kids in the district right now inside. So please know that I, and I'm sure all of the other folks out here, are taking it seriously.
With that, I have a motion to adjourn to executive session.
Ma'am, did you want to approach the microphone?
I just see it from here.
Sure. And then,
I gotta pick mine.
sure. Or can we just take the microphone to her?
My name is Cindy Wardo. I live on College Walls Road. My question is, if kids get in trouble, I know you can't give out names or anything of kids that are.
Can you repeat your name, please?
Cindy Wardo.
Thank you.
I know you cannot, and you should not give out names of kids that get in trouble for disciplinary reasons. I agree with that. My problem is, should parents not know what happened without giving out names? You have to give out a name, but let them know what the heck is going on. There have been fights in that school. That school has a problem. If kids get disciplined, how many chances do they get? This last one, in my opinion, I'm sorry, the person ought to be expelled. Touching, hurting a teacher. If they can do that to a teacher, what can they do to a child?
Right. Yep.
And cell phones. I know there's one school district in the county. Kids bring in their cell phones. They get it locked up.
Yep.
Now, at the end of the day, they can go and retrieve. The cell phones are the problem. That's the problem. One of the problems. And I don't see why we can't do this. Is there a dress code in this district? I'm jumping all over things. I apologize. Is there a dress code?
There is in writing.
Is it enforced?
No,
Why not?
cell phone policy isn't enforced either, or else.
I mean, our kids like come in here dressed, whatever, I mean, how short they want to wear it. Wear kind of halter tops or anything like that. Girls, I don't understand this. Where is the discipline? Are you guys afraid of the kids? But it sure seems like it. You cannot discipline. This is your school, our school. We have rules. You can't abide by the rules, I'm sorry. Then you get expelled, you get sent home. Not every kid should have, I want to do this, I want to do that. That's wrong. If there's a handbook and a student signs it, then that ought to be it. They know what they're doing, and they know what they did. The parents aren't. But these incidents where kids are repeating offenses, I don't understand what's going on. I really don't. It's hurting the rest of the kids that want to learn. And the few kids that are causing problems, you guys aren't doing anything with. Like I said, you shouldn't give kid names. I agree with that. But there are being reported to the parents what has happened in that school. Or these all schools. That's all I gotta say.
Are we allowed to let the public know, like, 'cause before I joined the board, I was in the same boat. I'm like, how are these kids keep coming back over and over and over and over again? It's all about money, right?
I'm sure.
No, it's all about legal obligation to provide free and appropriate education to all students. There are limited.
That's a nice diplomatic.
I mean, it's a lot, and, you know, there are lots of things that we can change, in a handbook, and you can see that, from my seat, it seems like the handbook, and I don't know if you took a look this year, there's a brand new graphic, there was brand new, in that discipline section is completely revamped this year. And discipline has been issued on a regular basis in a way that's consistent with that handbook. You'll see that it's progressive in nature, meaning that second and third offenses get more days than the first in a lot of categories. But ultimately, kids and our average kids need to be educated one way or another by average.
Or an
Kids
alternate, there
who-
should be an alternate option.
And there are,
You
and
cannot come to a public
when
school
there are alternate
and behave
alternate
yourself.
placements, when there are alternate placements and you have students who are in those alternate placements, you have students who are expelled, you have students who are receiving different services, you have students who have different rules applied to them by law because they're special education students. And not all of that is obvious from the outside world, and that's the point of incredible frustration for you. It's an incredible frustration for the board, for myself, for everyone who tries to tangle with these issues.
I'll just say this, and listen, I'm gonna tell you how it is. Okay, but Karen was here, getting close up on this. We need y'all help.
I'm sorry.
We need y'all help. Okay, let me explain what I mean. I got 4 kids in this district. When I was coming up, I was terrified to do half the stuff I be seeing some of these kids do, because not because of my parents, it's because of the neighbor. If he see me doing something crazy, I get disciplined. Or if it was a relative that lived in, I was scared of the discipline. If I did something crazy, nowadays it feels to a point. It feels like the school district have to discipline the kids, to correct the kids, for them to grow up to be adults and be responsible in society. Folks, that ain't happening. And it ain't just an average problem. Unfortunately, you can turn on the news and see it everywhere. And
these repeat offenders, when does CYS get involved?
So, if you're gonna have going on, if we're gonna do public comment, it has to be one at a time up here at the microphone. You cannot have back and forth things like that.
And how can we ever
That's
have
how
active
you
discussion with that?
And I hear what you're saying, trust and believe that. But when it gets me frustrated is this summer, like I was a big voice in saying, hey, look, we gotta buckle down, get ready for this school year to eliminate what happened ending of the last year, which was the middle school going on code yellow, against incidents, popping up in the district. And I'm like, this is crazy. We gotta figure out from a policy standpoint and our power and our bandwidth to deter. That's not happening either. So at some point, we as a community have to come together to try to figure this out. Because if you're thinking the school board and a policy or a handbook is going to correct that, you're wrong. Just like if you go to work, you think that policy handbook is going to force you to do your job and do it right?
Yeah. The handbook gives you the authority to use whatever.
To a degree, and I'll just end with this. The home and the school district, we have to figure a way out to bridge that gap. So then the child, the kid in the district is getting a holistic discipline viewpoint of what's right and what's wrong, what's good behavior, what's bad behavior. Because I just don't like how it's just going to the school district. You just heard the attorney say, oh, these laws that we got to follow before we can get the CYF or do this or do that. That's all detriment to the child who will be an adult at some point. At some point, will be an adult. And the only thing you know is, oh, if I do this, I get slapped. If I do this, this happens. But in the home, we can do a lot there. And I just wanted to, say this in public that, hey, let's do our parts at home. And I know there's a lot of great parents here.
Yeah.
I'm not judging anybody.
But
But if we can start there, then when we receive the child, right, we're working with cohesion. That's all I wanted to say. I agree with you guys. Before I was on the board, I'm saying the same thing. Okay? But when you're here, you see the red tape, it's just like, So,
And have a conversation like this, I think it's good, because not everyone's gonna go up to the microphone, but if a person hears something, they might wanna say something. I don't see anything wrong with raising a hand and acknowledging them and letting them speak. It's a good, okay, that's what we're lacking today, like you said, communication. We're lacking talking. We have to talk. And not 3 minutes.
So we can absolutely look into having some sort of town hall or forum or, something that is focused specifically on discipline. That is, more than welcome to happen, but typically in a civil setting, it is in this form where you come up and speak. Board members can address anything, the superintendent, sometimes the solicitor will address, and it kind of goes back and forth. Next person comes up. That's just kind of the way that it happens at board meetings. But you make a valid point. A group of people getting together and coming up with solutions. Not one person in this community is going to come up with all the answers themselves. So a group of people together and sitting down and becoming that community is going to be the answer. So that is a great solution.
I just wish you would enforce the rules that they can enforce, that is in the handbook. That's all. You have the authority to do that.
So there is a handbook, there is a progressive policy, like their term all suggested. There are laws that go into place and all of that happens. And I agree, I have kids, actually kids in middle school. I sat in your seats many times and wanted the same answers. What this was saying. I sat there like, why are we not hearing anything? Why do we not know what happened? Now I'm here, and now I can see the reasons why that is happening, and I still can't give them to you. I can't make it any better. I can't make it go away. We can't change the law. Unfortunately, the law is the law. So I can just tell you from my experience, I know where you're at, and I know how you feel. I've been there. I've worked in the district. I've sat in your seat right here, speaking to the board that I was not on. So I understand where you're coming from.
So you can't talk about sharing something else.
Sorry, there's somebody after this. Thank you.
My name is Matthew Skippings. I'm at 175 Upper Stratton Freedom. Mr. Stevens, I can't agree with you more that it needs to be a partnership between the district and the parents. But where I see the issue being is when you have students who are repeat offenders, and obviously there's something lacking at home where it's not a partnership anymore. Then you have students coming to school disrupting the students who are there to learn. I mean, the students who are disrupted like that, they need some type of addition. There needs to be some additional help, resources to be able to get them what they need so they can get up to the point where they can come back, to middle school or wherever it is, and not be a disruption. And students who want to learn or there to learn can do what they need to do. So I feel like the handbook is written vaguely and in broad brush strokes, general terms, the discipline policy with all those 6 different levels where something can fall in a bunch of different areas. And it's done intentionally by lawyers so that you aren't locked in. And it makes sense, but there also needs to be a common sense approach applied to it. There needs to be thought put behind it so that appropriate actions are taken so that people who are students who are in the district who obviously are not there to get education, they can stop being disruptive for their lives.
If you ever see a board action, then you know that it's for more than 10 days. Expulsion under Pennsylvania law is any exclusion of a student longer than 10 days. So any item that you see that comes before the board, items below 10 days are a matter they're handled by the administration, and those are suspensions. So those words, those terms of art, have a specific meaning to them.
So anything below 10 days is supposed to be
Correct.
and anything above 10 days, you give them.
Sure, the maximum exclusion of a student in Pennsylvania is 1 year, 1 calendar year. That's the maximum allowed.
Okay, and then they can come back.
Correct. Correct, they must come back, or PDE will let us know in some ways that are not ideal. Pennsylvania Department of Education, I'm sorry.
Thank you for that. So I think that's really helpful to know that if you see a board action, it is going to be over 10 days, up to a year. So, and that's helpful. I mean, to your point, it's very hard to know what's going on. Please, maybe that's a little bit.
Hi, Randy Dawson, Locust Green Ambridge. How many years have we had the middle school now be the middle school and not a junior high? Are we 6 years, 5 years, 6 years since we converted that? 5 years. So this is Randy Dawson's opinion. I think the problem at this middle school goes back to day one when we converted it to be a middle school. That building is not, I have 2 sons that are, one is graduated and one is a senior in the school district. There was no fights at this middle school ever prior to it being changed 5 years ago. Is this really the right move that we did? I think we seriously need to look at the fact that that building is not designed appropriately to be the middle school. The hallways are not big enough, and that's where your fights are occurring when they're changing classes in the hallways. Dr. Walter that created it told me it's going to take 5 years for this problem to shake out. We're in 5 years and it's still going on. And it started year 1 when we did it. You seriously, I don't believe you're going to solve the fights and the problem in this middle school until this is re-looked at and it is truly the right concept. That's the first comment. Second comment, my son that is in the building is a senior. Just to, and I'm not throwing daggers at anybody, the senior project discussion that was brought up by a previous parent, he is valid with his points. I made my son go find out the information of what had to be done because of what went on with that teacher representative. It was passed to Kim Bugatti to handle it and help them, but that information was not told correctly to the students. He had to go seek that out and get told that. So there is issues there with the senior project. Thank you.
Randy, before you step back, I wanted to talk a little bit about the middle school concept. That before I got on the board, I was on a committee that studied that concept, and I'll tell you, I'm 100% in agreement with you that I never thought that there was room in that building to move a 6th grade there.
Let me ask a question on that. No, I want to ask a serious question. 6th grade is from 12-year-olds, right? My kids are 11. Adding a 12-year-old to a kid that's 13 and 14, it's impossible.
Oh, no, it wasn't for me about putting 6th grade with 7th and 8th grade. It was more a building issue that I didn't feel personally as a community member that there was room to put all these kids in the building. There was room at the elementary school, specifically economy, to put all of 6th grade there and use it as a transition to bring the kids, get them together.
That's functioning goes back to the whole root of our whole culture. Nobody wants to make that change.
It's very hard. You're right. It is very hard, and it was very hard.
They were up in Orange County in the middle school, and they're not going to want to do that now because people don't want to change.
Mr. Zaxi, that's not really what I'm saying. The building design, not regarding.
I get that now.
put more kids in there, but.
Exactly, it's not,
You know, it's been done 6 years ago, whatever it was, well, before some of the lots. Kathy and Mary Jo have been here longer, I don't know if they were here.
but we've had fights and issues, and
No, I
first things
understand
when this done.
But can be changes done, you know, we discussed, offsetting bell schedules. 6th grade change is different from 7th and 8th, putting you in different parts of the building. I don't know what's gonna explode, but.
That was the original concept, we would have
Why
wings.
wasn't it done?
We would have wings, there'd be a 6th grade wing, a 7th grade wing, and 8th grade wing, so that didn't happen. The problem is they're still changing in the hallways,
I understand it.
and that's where your issues occur.
There's a lot to go into that. It's a big discussion. First of all, right now, we're wondering whether they should have moved the middle school there or not. I wasn't here. You have previous experience in the district as an assistant, so I surely understand that the students did go to the elementary schools up to grade 6. Now that we have them in there, though, there's a lot that goes into going backwards. For example, right now. Well, so what I'm going to say to that is, for example, now at the middle school, and if you're in a middle school model, you could have teachers who are certified 7 to 12 to 6th graders. So we utilize that a lot, which allows them to be content areas and some examples. But just to say that we would have a wing with a different bell schedule, to be honest with you, that is not how the building is staffed. So I'm not saying it's impossible, but that is a large piece of the puzzle that you'd be talking about adding a considerable amount of staff, whether you brought them back or you brought them next. Maybe worth it, maybe not. You just make it work. That's one thing. Going back to some of the other things that were mentioned today, it's very difficult when you sit up here and you want to try to make sure that everyone understands and feels comfortable. Believe me when I say this, at least from my seat, I'm trying to do the very best I can to keep all the kids safe, to have them have an excellent education. That's what we want. You may feel differently, or you may be frustrated, and I can understand your points on that. What I'll tell you though is, there are a lot of laws out there that protect students' rights and abilities that they have, both in the forms of communication to parents and around that information, and also about discipline and the language. And so while we might feel that a student A or B should be out for X amount of time, there's laws and rules that prohibit how long that is. You're a free and appropriate education, you're average as other public schools are. So the students have the right to an education, as I feel they should. As far as resources, I understand that you always want to look at additional resources. I think we've looked at it from both sides. We've had positive steps in our schools, which is school-wide policy, school-wide counseling that is available to kids in case they couldn't get counseling outside, the parents could choose to do. Recently, we have increased and through a grant added an elementary school counselor. The list goes on and on. Also, on the safety end of things, we work very diligently to be able to come up with an agreement to put SROs into place. We're working on programs that aren't just disciplinary in nature, but also positive, both from the police force, boxing programs, looking at other things that they're going to be able to do. Positive schools provide positive support at all levels to try and get kids to make good decisions. Support. Everybody comes from a little different spot, as some people know. And everybody has a different viewpoint. Whether we have one viewpoint or another viewpoint, this I do know. The law is the law, and the students are entitled to an education. We don't have the right to change the law. Neither does the board. Really. To make policy, some of the policy has to align to the law. And the law is the law. And I know that might be frustrating. So what we can try to do is continuously try to improve and provide best experience for all of our students in a safe manner, as safe as possible, and try to improve each and every day. What we can't do is change the law in and of ourselves. So, yes, there's a lot of things mentioned about gray in the handbook, or why can't we put it out there? There's a lot of fair discussion. So when somebody does something this amount of times, why would they ever come back? Or so on and so forth. We're not talking about this is a more general statement I'm making, not about any specific situation. Fact of the matter is, there is law, and kids have the right to do that. If I'm in your shoes, as I understand, as many of these folks have kids in these schools, or I have kids in schools too. We surely don't want anything to happen to our children, let alone again and again. I understand that. Likewise, if our student made a mistake, we want our student to learn from that and to not do that again, right? That's the fact on the other side. So it's a very difficult balance, and that's why the laws that are the way they are. Are they perfect? Maybe not. There's some that I agree with, some I don't. As a parent, I see both sides of it, as I'm sure you do, and as the leader of the school system, within reason, with the resources we have, I'm giving you everything I can and continue to do so. I'm not going to be happy with every decision, and every communication that I can send out. Some will lead to more questions than they would answers. Some you legally can't do, because even though somebody might say you left the name out, well, you may say that, but it still indicates who the person may be. It should still be a violation. People can figure it out. That's my opinion, and I apologize. What I will tell you is holding folks accountable, including myself, trying to do my very best to be visible in many buildings as I can to help work with these kids. Starting off with working with all kids in a positive way, trying to find a method that, somebody said earlier, they're not leaving because of athletics. Well, let's get them involved in it. Let's get them involved in athletics. Let's get them involved in the music. Let's get them involved in our music program. Let's get the kids involved. Because I think if they get involved, they have bigger reasons on why they want to succeed. That's got to be our goal. When you're sitting there, I understand your expectations, but you have to understand that the law allows kids to make mistakes and still get a free and appropriate education. And we have to help guide them. I wish I had all the answers. I wish I could guarantee you, as I can guarantee myself in my way, that nothing will ever happen and no one will ever be hurt. I wish I could do that. If I could do it, I would do it for my kid, and I would do it for every one of your kids too. But I can't. What I can do is consistently say to whether it be any administrator, high school, middle school, elementary. Right now, one of our elementaries, till we get someone, is myself, Mr. King, and Dr. Filipowski. It's great to be back in the trenches working with the kids. You learn a lot, you talk a lot, you remember where you came from. I think that's always important. So we've got to be positive. We've got to try to be a positive base support. As Mr. Cephas said, it's a community-wide thing. The school has to do their part. We all want to do our part. So that's my statement. I wish I could tell you more. I wish I could solve it. I would do it if I could. What I can always do is wake up each day and demand that we improve and try to get better. That we can do. So that's kind of how I see it. So I'm sorry to all of you if it's not exactly the response you're looking for, but you have my word that we'll continue to try to improve. I can't sit here and guarantee you in a microphone or news camera or anywhere else that there will never be another fight in Amherst School District. I wish I could. I can't. Or that if a student makes multiple mistakes, whoever that might be, we're not talking about anyone in direct, they'll never come back. Because laws don't allow for that. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. And I appreciate your patience, your support of our school system, and we'll continue to do our best for all of the kids in the Amherst School District. That's my statement. Thank you.
I'm Marcy Fiash, I'm 1742 Woodside Drive, Cambridge, Economy. I have two kids in Economy Elementary, one in fourth, one in third, and some of our friends' kids are in high school now, junior high. I'm a 99 graduate of Cambridge, and I can tell you then, I would never. We were afraid of teachers. We were afraid of our principals. We were afraid of our vice principals. They weren't our friend. They weren't our buddy. They weren't our shaking hands in the hallways. They were your authoritarian. You feared them. There is no fear with these teachers or principals. It's not there, because the kids have the right to You know, I've been out of school for 25 years now and a lot's changed. I completely get that. But my kids are scared. It's going to the lion's den. And I will be that parent who will knock that door down if something would happen to my kid. And I wasn't the best leader, but, you know, like, I hear what some of these kids say about their authoritarians in school. My teachers didn't slap my hand and fist pump me in school. They were serious. So if you teachers and administration think these kids are your friends, they are not. And they're walking all over you like a doormat. So if you think that they're your friends, taking pictures, putting your arm around them, you're a joke to them. That's why this is happening. I was one of those kids. Like, and I'll be honest with you, I was. And I'm trying, like, God, my kid's right with this. They hear these stories and they're just like, and my husband's like, maybe it's time for a new school district. We're both 99 graduates. It's a shame. It really is. I mean, I can appreciate all of you. I can. I couldn't imagine sitting up there because we're in the hot seat too. But please, in the administration part, there are things you should not do. They shouldn't be on Facebook. They should not have interaction with kids the way that they do. They're their authoritarians. Just like when I worked a job, I wasn't allowed to hang out after work with my coworkers. It should be the same in the school. There shouldn't be pictures on Facebook of administration having kids and stuff. Just, that's not right.
That's right.
And the kids see this and like, I can get away with whatever I want. Yep. That's the problem. So, I mean, again, I can appreciate you guys. Thank you for letting me speak. But when my kids are in 3rd and 4th grade hearing this from their friends, and their friends are being attacked in school, they don't want to go. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Joe Musser. I'm 2816 Columbia Street, Marvin Township. And Mr. Cephas, what you said earlier about it's us, it's on us, you're absolutely right. My kid, my skinny, jar of mayonnaise looking kid came home after he hit a teacher. I'd be in jail. I'd be over at the police station. I turned myself in for doing what he did. Okay. My problem is, Johnny and Tommy decide to fight. They fight. Give them their 3 days out. Okay, everybody fought. I was here 25 years ago, good fights every once in a while. You get suspended, right? We all know that. When a kid grabs a teacher by the head, slams her head against the locker, elbows, punches her, hits her on the ground, that's no longer a fight. Yep. That is attempted murder, in my opinion. That is a major assault on somebody. That's not a fight. So this stuff. Doctor, I totally appreciate what you said about every kid deserves a good education. I'm not talking about kids. We're talking about lunatics, animals. They don't belong in this school. They don't belong walking the hallways in this school district. This girl that did this to the teacher, you foresee her walking these hallways again. That's it. My kid is in a gay program. He does very well at education. We have no issues with him at all. If this kid's brought back into the hallways at the school district, my kid's gone. Okay? And I'm not saying my kid's better than anyone else, because every one of you have beautiful kids. We all love our kids. But my kid means everything to me. He's all I have. Only one. If that animal comes in the school district again, my kid's gone. And I know it doesn't matter, because I firmly believe every kid has a price tag. Okay, we're all the same. But we need to find a place for these kids. And it cannot be in this school district. It has to be somewhere else where they can get whatever they need. Because There's a ton of mental illness in this country. You take somebody's head and bash it against the locker, you're no longer throwing a punch at somebody. You're attempting to kill them. So, school board, I appreciate every one of you. I don't know why you guys do it. I really don't. I mean that firmly. I appreciate the hell out of every one of you for stepping up and doing this. The heat you take, immense. I don't understand it. God bless you all. And Marcy, yeah, she was an idiot at school, so.
Willow Drive. So I kind of just sat back there, was just taking in the input from that. And a couple of things that caught my attention. One, I read the handbook before I came in today. I read specifically about cell phones. And one thing that bothered me is, oh, the handbook has this wrap. I don't care about that. The handbook's not being followed. The cell phone rule within the handbook states that cell phones should not be out. I have a son today who told me I took my test on my cell phone today. Really? My son also said to me, well, when I take this test, I'm told that I will have to use a laptop, and then if I need to look at something else, I can use my cell phone. Cell phones should be put away. The handbook specifically states that. It is the number one issue in this school. There's pictures, there's videos, all of that's being taken. Where is the privacy of our children? The second thing is, you mentioned, we're only showing on the agenda anybody who's had 10 or more incidents, 10 or more suspension days. Count every single one of those events and see how many students are on there. Really? You have that many kids that are getting 10 or more? How many, what percentage are less than 10 that we don't know about? That's a big number. Are you willing to give out a percentage of the amount of disciplines in the school with parents? Because when I look at that and I see how many, we were 4 just on one meeting minute. That's concerning. The last thing I just wanted to make a comment about, and that's continuing to the talk to Ms. Riley, is you made the statement about the middle school and stating that the middle school, well, I wasn't here. You can watch it. No, your comment to us should have been, I will take your information out, I will see what I can get to fix this issue. Not, I was not here when that decision was made. That is not something I want to hear. That is all I have to say. Thank you. No. Thank you. Anybody else who has not had a chance to speak yet, that would like to speak this evening?
Samantha Fisher, 976 Ridge Road. I'm just going to talk to the parents a little bit. I just graduated with my degree for early childhood and special ed in December. I just graduated with my degree for early childhood and special ed in December. I subbed in the district at the middle school over my winter break from college. I'm currently going for my master's in reading. But one thing I will tell you, especially about social media presence right now, in today's day and age, that's something to communicate. And me personally, I have a teacher Instagram that I put the things that I do in my classroom with my kids, with parental permission slips at my school that I'm at school, and these kids can follow it. I post homework and stuff like that. Now that's how you build your connections with your kids. And I know when I was in school, I was afraid to do anything because I knew when I came home, my mom was going to handle it. So I did get in trouble. But as as a teacher now, you have to make that balance of building that rapport with your student, but also being that authoritarian figure in their education. And even at the middle school, like, if you talk to these kids and you wanna build that connection with them, they're gonna respect you. But that respect that they're getting also stems from at home life. And when you want to make that connection with them, they realize that and they respect you for that. So as for the social media presence, I really don't think that's a problem. I think that's a great thing that we have in this district for parents to see as well as students. And I think that's one of the best things that we can do. On the other hand, with like the disciplinary stuff, I urge you to educate yourself on the rules and laws for education, because I know I've been learning them and it helps me understand a lot more. You cannot, for example, students that have IEPs, there are certain amount of days that you can only get suspended for. A lot of disciplinary things. Once you see all of those facts, it will make sense to you why it's happening the way it's happening. Now, when I heard that the thing that happened at the middle school, I was like, oh my gosh, that was just there a month ago, that could have been me. But in that case, like, again, it's all legal matters. You have to think about, okay, not calling this kid a lunatic because of what happened. I'm sorry, but you should not call anyone's child a lunatic. That's not right. Because that is someone's child. And maybe they do have some underlying thing that causes them to act that way. There's multiple factors that come into this that you kind of have to be not sensitive to, because I know me personally, if my little brother was at that middle school, I would also be worried too. My little brother's had broken surgeries. I get it. But when you talk about these things, you should be aware of all of the policies that are in place for the protection of these kids. Because I know that it's not right to do that to someone, but you don't know what this kid is going through. What if they don't have a support system when they go home or anything like that? And that's not an excuse, that's not anyone's fault. But that's our school district's job to be there for them and to help them through it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to speak this evening? Hi, Megan Kerr, 1820 Hillsdale Ave, Cambridge. I have a daughter who's in middle school who has had nothing but issues since the beginning of this year. She's not really a fighter. She kind of does her own thing, but several students have constantly been harassing her, attacking her. I called the school, I've gone in there. I actually got a phone call from Dr. Pascal one day, because that was the one day that my daughter actually felt safe in the school, because he was the substitute principal. She had gone to him, approached him, and said that this girl has continuously threatened to beat her up. Had already been suspended for trying to fight her, and then came back to school and was instantly starting to threaten her. Why is it that my daughter only felt safe that one day when you were there? Can we bring the mic to you after we make sure?
What should a child do if they were being bullied?
So can a child stand up for themselves, or what is the protocol if they're being bullied?
The first thing we're having that is the shoes and report, so that can be, addressed. That's the one thing you should do. Harassment. Specific times and dates, who, when, where, it's very important. Then it should be looked into, and there should be appropriate consequences if it's found. That's the number one thing we should do. If you run into a situation with a child.
We do work through and implement safety plans for students who need those, or that situation calls for. We do that on a regular basis, but we need to know, as Dr. Pascarelli indicated, what what is going on, all of those basics, so that we can work through with the family to do that. And that's that one side. And the other side is an investigation. We take them seriously, we investigate, and we respond appropriately, and that can be discipline. Back to that topic.
I think is there still an anonymous bullying box at the school as well?
There is.
In case somebody doesn't want it.
And there's also safe to say, I mean, it's actually been a really successful program. So even if it's not your student involved, they see that in their classroom, in their community, on their bus, they see bullying, they see violence. There's an anonymous line, and that implements and it kind of triggers a whole host of administrative responses that are coordinated with law enforcement as well.
Is there a program that our students know that is available? Like, do all of our kids know that is out there and available?
Well, they know, it's safe to say, retrain kids, training, professional development is on. They're familiar.
It can be shared again if you think that's something that hasn't.
Yeah,
that hasn't made its way all the way.
On mobile devices, at least the laptops, there is an icon for the desktop, so you say, just click it, and take it straight from it. Yeah, it's got a special icon, it's bigger, thumbs up, it's bright color, making it look, easy.
You possibly have that email included. I know
Yeah,
you have a blast.
it's-
That'd be great. Thank you. I
Good
know
to
you have a
go.
question. Go ahead.
Okay,
Sorry.
question for Dr. Pasquarello. I'm gonna quote you. You said the law is the law. What is the difference between school policy and the law? Because you're taking school policy and you're criminally prosecuting the children. However, if a teacher makes a mistake or a bad decision, they are not held to the same standard nor accountability. So how is that leading by example? That's leading by example, but it's not a positive example because they're not setting a good example for the students. They're not being held accountable, but the students are. So could you please elaborate on how school policy and the law coincide to where school policy is now law that you guys are prosecuting?
So you got
The staff, because I've asked this question before about the accountability of the staff, because as I shared a few months ago, in October, my son took apart a highlighter and he drew on his arm. Another student bumped into him and knocked it out of his hand. And I got a phone call from the school resource officer and was told that my son vandalized the school floor and he was cited for vandalism and disorderly conduct on top of being suspended from school for 3 days. And when I tried to ask questions to the officer in regards to the incident, I was told that I'm expecting special treatment, and I've still yet to have that conversation with the SRO, because every time it gets brought up, I'm making this personal. I'm expecting special treatment. All I'm doing is asking for clarity, because vandalism, by definition, is intentionally defacing. He might have been drawing on his arm. That's not the school's problem. That's the parents' problem at home. If you want to suspend him from school for 3 days, that's fine. But to suspend him and then criminally cite him for disorderly conduct and vandalism, and then we show up for the hearing, it gets continued for 24 days. And this is coming the day after the officer said that it was going to be dismissed. It's continued for an additional 28 days. And then the officer don't show up for the hearing so I can get my answers as a concerned parent.
What is the direct question that you're asking directly to
I'm asking how the students are being held accountable and criminally cited for mistakes and bad decisions, but staff is not.
I would just say, first and foremost, that's another tricky situation because you guys don't, no one knows what is happening with the staff. If they are being held accountable or they are not being held accountable.
They're not being criminally cited like the kids.
That's also.
So I would say student discipline, employee discipline operates on a separate but parallel track with local law enforcement. Both items are on the table whenever that is appropriate. And so for those who came tonight to hear about student discipline, know that when we're talking about consequences and the district's response, one part of that is the in-school component. The other that is also occurring in some or many cases is also a criminal component, and one is not mutually exclusive from the other, and they often both go hand in hand. That can happen with staff as well, when that is appropriate to do so. The district holds staff members accountable for compliance with school board policy and other laws and rules. So one is not mutually exclusive. There are situations where both are implicated and all appropriate actions taken as necessary.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I would just add, I guess, if I was gonna add anything from where I sit, we can't discuss employees and we can't discuss students. There's rules and regulations, both law, policy, contracts, etc. I can't discuss either end. You can discuss them about your own child if you choose. I can't discuss that about any child, yours or anyone else. Same goes with employees. As far as accountability goes, I can only speak for myself. I definitely look into any issues that occur and hold both students and staff accountable. That's my statement.
I have one other one. It's in regards to you had mentioned the boxing program. I would like to hear a little bit more information, what you guys have to give us as parents, because I know through the magistrate, it is being ordered that the kids are to participate in the youth boxing program. Could you tell the parents a little bit about that? Because as somebody who is, I attend the boxing program every week, and I've yet to see anybody from the school board, let alone teachers or staff, show up. And it's every Saturday from 10 to 12 at Orange Hall Boxing Gym. I'm there, Glenn Sovich is there, Sergeant Sovich. That's a great man for these kids.
A little bit to what that program is all about, and then.
So I think at some point, if the board would like a larger report, I think we should ask, Sergeant Sovich to speak to the exact specifics of the program. In general, as I understand it, we're looking for students, all students who might be interested in participating in this. Some of those students may or may not have made decisions that were, or maybe they didn't make a poor decision and they wanted to just be part of this program that goes over character and discipline, talks about hard work and making good choices, all while allowing you to be able to enjoy the sport of boxing. Now, that's the general overview that I support, along with Chief Luca from the Ambridge Police Department. I think if we want the exact specifics of the program, we should have him come and speak to this. So if that's something that the board would like, you can email me to talk to. So, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else who wishes to speak to me?
Hi, my name is Carrie Kelly Jenkins. I live at 223 Dogwood Circle, Baden. I actually have two questions. The first is whether you guys track the aggregate of all of these incidents that people are talking about. No names, just incidents. Kids coming up to you and telling you, I've been bullied, I've been whatever, I've been punched, I've been hit. Do you guys track that? And do you publish it? Because I'd like to know.
Do you mind moving all of this through all of your questions all at once?
Sure, I'll try to do that. And the other question that I have is whether other school districts have this issue. You know, like North Allegheny and Pine Ridgeland and all that, do they have this issue? Do you know? Do you talk to, yeah, that's, yeah, that's,
Okay, I just don't want to interrupt.
no, that's okay. I might have more depending on what you say.
So do we track discipline and those types of things? Sure, there's a system by which we track discipline. There are some public reporting sites at the end of the year that you have to turn into for PE, those types of things. But that's the answer to your first question. We do look at those at a building level. I'm sure they do that a lot more than I do with their staff team, their student assistance programs, those kind of things. Have meetings with their administration, counselors. As far as if other students have these issues, I guess I'm assuming that can you describe what issues you're talking about? I would just say all schools have.
Not the students. I'm saying, does this happen in other school districts where the whole board meeting is talking about disciplinary action? I mean.
Well, I think that what I would just respond to that is, I don't know every school district more than the average. What I would say is, I do think the issues that are occurring are not only in the average. There are priority, and that's what we're working towards.
The thing I have is there are school districts that are better, and there are school districts that are not. I've been watching school board meetings online on YouTube. There's some where the people are fighting and screaming and spitting and hitting each other. We don't have that here. It's actually something to be proud of. But on the other hand, this that's happening in the school is not okay. And there are other school districts that don't have this on a regular basis. What are they doing differently that maybe we can implement? I don't know. I'm not sure what the answer is. One thing I would suggest, I've been thinking about this a lot lately, you guys need a committee with parents, school board members, teachers, and community members. And we need to really start taking action. I know you guys have a strategic plan. Do you have an action plan? I don't know. Is there an action plan for the strategic, like that follows with the strategic plan? And are there people that are identified for each step on that action plan that's going to drive the thing until it's done? And if you don't, that's fine. It's not a big deal. That's what we need to do. I work at Johns Hopkins. We have plans for everything. You don't have a plan, it's not going to get done. It's just wishful thinking. So, I mean, is there an action plan? The one that aligns with the strategic plan.
On what specific?
The strategic plan. Goals that the school district is trying to meet. Next time I'll bring action plans from other school districts that outline specifically what's going to be done. I'd be happy to do that.
So, yeah, we have a comprehensive plan. That's a general overview of what we would be working on, our goals, some data that the state asks you to put in there.
Mm-hmm.
From there, then we kind of develop our own administrative goals that we're working on. And then the action steps on there are we align our professional development. We have our meetings that we have to work on. So we do that.
Are there people that are like the driver that are responsible to say that, yes, this has been done and there's a deadline by when it's done?
Well, I would say in some regards, yes. I mean, I'm not going to dodge your question. In other words,
okay.
One of our, but you're asking specific questions, so I'm not sure if you mean that we write down on there, that there is implementation dates and those types of things that you work on and progress through things. There are people assigned to different duties. For example, we're working on co-teaching and special education, trying to include Philippines and special education, so we need to work through that. We're going to bring some outside resources in for our office of training. We're talking about, data-driven decision-making, looking at our common assessments, myself and Mr. Peter meeting, at least monthly or some are close to monthly, each of our groups in each of our buildings to look at that data that came out of that. To ask what questions are there, what do they need, what are we able to do to try to show some improvement. So we've been doing this. There are some action steps. I don't know if that work is ever totally completed, like an action step or something that you might be thinking about in one of your plans. Hey, I don't know, so I don't want to be foolish to speak to, but it's not as simple as just saying. I guess our work on a lot of these goals are never done. They are measurable. We want to try to get more students, as an example, in special education, in the regular education classroom, support them, meet those needs, and have them do better. academic achievement wise, we take every kid and try to learn how to help them should grow. So those are the things we're going to measure. We're making results with standardized testing and common assessments to see how we did. So I think we're doing it, but I don't know if our work is just over.
No, you evolve, you know, you meet that objective, if you don't, and then you go back to the table and you figure it out. But I'm just wondering, is there like an action plan, like from year to year, or like a 5-year action plan? Most organizations have that, like, and if you don't, it's okay, I'm just wondering.
You get it, you follow the strategic plan, which was its previous, and then we have a comprehensive plan. Those are often overarching plans, which I think they're intended to be, and then we take pieces of that each year. And so far, in a lot of our vision goals, we look at it, we build upon it each year after year. Sometimes we add, this year we added, in addition to other ones about special education, around data-driven instruction, we added one on safety schools, because that was one of our goals in the summer before the work. Not that we were not working on that prior, but it just became a float. So what did we do? What are we going to do? Both for our school-wide positive behavior support, we're going to do it for school safety with regards to our SROs. Are we going to have a training? Yes, we did. That's an action. Doug Humble, he came in, he trained our entire district on some of the safety procedures along with active shooters. So on and so forth. Is that work done completely?
No, it's
No,
not.
but I think that's an action step that we worked on. So we're going to continue.
I guess what I'm saying is there is something, even the comprehensive plan, is that published online that people can see and that aligns with the strategic plan? Oh, they're one and the same? Oh, but, so it's just, because when I say strategic plan, to me, that's a vision. That's a goals and overarching, right? But the actions underneath that, are they published? On the website. Because I looked and I couldn't find anything, but I.
I'm pretty sure.
Well, we have one of those. But what I'll say to that, we're going to be very truthful with each other. That is a nice overarching plan, but each year we have to fix the specific things. In education, as you know, this is no fault of anyone. We only have so much time for professional development. We only have so many days that you can work with teachers. Somebody's fault. It's just the facts. So we have to try to make that as meaningful as possible to try to achieve these goals. Within the confines of some things that are there, such as conscience. It's just the way it goes. So you don't give up, you always keep moving forward.
So you said it's online? It's located.
Thank you.
A little confused on the part where you were talking about law, policies. My kids came from Hayden Academy. They were there, no issues whatsoever. The school staff were engaging, they talked to parents, they greeted the kids every single day. And then my kids had to come here because of age. And the last 2 years, I hear fights, stuff like that. But when you sit there and talk about law, I have to sign a piece of paper to state that my kids understand the policy. So when I sign that, that's a document. I am taking my signature and putting it on a piece of paper stating that I want to talk to my kids and let them know what is right and what is wrong. I understand that this it starts at home first. I'm 100% for that. I come from a military background, I understand that. But I'm putting my kids' safety in the teacher's hands for 8 hours a day, from bus ride to school, from school back home. And so far in the last 2 years, there's been fights on school buses. I hear about this is more of an entertainment now because kids are filming it on phones, and I'm watching it at home. So if you guys are turning around and saying law is law, and we have guidance here, how much are you guys really following that? Because to me, that piece of paper is the law. Dress code, you should be following that. Cell phone rules, you should be following that. If I found out my kid was not following that, trust me, he will follow the next day. I'm gonna make sure he apologizes as well. I'm not saying I'm the best parent at all, but the parents that are showing up here today are showing concern. I give you guys utmost respect. I don't think I can do what you guys do. So I know that it's hard. If I go to work the way these kids go to school, I wouldn't have a job. Bottom line. Okay, when I'm at work, I have to feel that my kids are safe at school. And I have to worry about my kids. How am I worrying? How am I doing my job to provide for it if I have to worry about that? Bottom line is we have to do better as a community, as a board, as teachers, and as parents. I'll do my part if all you do your part. But I teach my kids right and wrong, and I expect them to come to me when there's a problem. That's why I'm here tonight. My kids came to me and said that there's a problem. I'm sure you all have kids here. I help out some of the parents up here take their kids to school sometimes because the bus doesn't know how to show up on time. Okay? We all have to work together. If you can't work together, the problem ain't going to get fixed. That's it. Thank you.
I just want to thank you guys, because you let us intermix. I think that's great.
I think it's an important enough issue that we need to dedicate a significant amount of time. Typically, we will come in for 40 minutes, we talk one time at the beginning, and then one time again at most. But it is an important enough time that you all were very concerned, and multiple issues. You may have had more concern after somebody else felt, it was well worth it.
This was good tonight. At least I think it was very beneficial. Because at least we could speak and go, like I said, back and forth. Gotta have a back and forth. Just can't have 3 minutes and that's it. But thank you.
I will take a motion to adjourn to the executive session.
So moved.
5 seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
All